Welcome back to TML Weekly, Season 2, Episode 16. Just Johnny and I here tonight. We're going to do a little quick pregame show before the Toronto-Boston game. Got a couple of things we're going to go through, and it's a pretty good start for them coming out. Just wanted to do a quick Four Nations recap. What a hockey game. Everything it was advertised to be. Just like I said last week, the high-end, high IQ hockey plays that happened that whole tournament were absolutely unbelievable. Good on Canada. They gutted it out. Binnington was an absolute beast. I doubted him. I doubted that decision to play him all the way through.
Me too.
Obviously, take that back now. He stepped up when that mattered the most. As far as the Leafs that were in the game, I think they both played well for their respective teams. I see all the talk about Matthews and being out of position. It was more Fox than him. But at the end of the day, it was a bang play, and
that much we're talking about too.
Yeah,
that stick is like half a blade.
Austin was outstanding. The save that Binnington made on him with his
blocker
save is a very difficult save. It's not like a glove save, flashy. It's, you don't even see them in real time a lot because they kind of glance or they hit your shoulder or whatever. And that save, Austin's got the best shot in the world, and he was point blank, and he had that top corner labeled, and Binnington got his arm over. So, very, very pleased with the three Leafs coming back, healthy. That's key. But buckle up because there's a lot going to happen. We'll get into the trade stuff here in a minute, but what were your thoughts on the championship game at the Four Nations Showdown?
So listen, I think, similar to what you said, or just on the lead-in with regards to the high level of hockey IQ that was involved in the tournament. Let's just look back at how the tournament started and how the tournament ended. Let's look at that first goal that was scored with the Crosby behind the back, between the skates of the player, onto a stick, and it's in the net, right? And then that last goal, let's everybody remember, it was Braden Point skating his ass off down the ice beforehand to make sure the icing got called that gets that face off there, right? Everybody's forgotten about that. And then the one thing for me, and I have no problem calling myself out on it. Binnington, boy, I was terrified of him going into that game. And I don't know if you remember, Johnny, in the group chat where we're down 2-1 right at the end of the power play, and
playing with the puck.
And we gave up the 2-on-1 the other way.
Yeah.
Coming back. And he slid over and he made a pad save. And I texted you guys and I said, I guarantee you, if we win this game, that's the save.
Yeah.
It's going to turn everything.
Yeah.
If that game goes to 3-1 at that point in time, it could have been 7-2. The route could have been on at that point in time.
Yeah. It's a game of momentum for sure.
100%. The one, the one thing that the one player in the tournament that absolutely I knew was really fantastic. Like, I knew he was a good hockey player, but I had no idea he was as good as Jacob Slavin.
Yeah.
That guy, to me, man, he stood out as a man among men, boy. Like, just an absolute horse. And like, for me, like, just a revelation. Like,
yeah, me too.
Yeah. Fantastic. The guy was unbelievable and deserves full credit. So,
yeah, there was some, Hagel on Canada we talked about. I thought he was outstanding. They were talking about I listened to Spit and Chicklets today, and they were talking about the two interviews were John Cooper and Brady Tkachuk. So you kind of got a breakdown of what kind of
both sides,
down, right? And they knew that something was going to happen. A couple of guys were asking in warm-ups if they wanted to go, and I guess when Brady came to the bench, or who fought Hagel? Matthew,
I think, fought him.
Yeah. Anyway, he told Cooper, he said, "I'm doing this, right? There's absolutely no way I'm saying no." That's what Cooper said about him. And then Brady was like, "Yeah, we want wanted to send a message. So it was kind of neat hearing the background of that. But I could listen to John Cooper talk all day. I can't say enough. And we all know he's a good coach. He had success all the way through. He won some junior championships in the U.S. Then
Hey, listen, you remember, Johnny, before we got into the Chief getting hired, I said, do whatever you got to do to pry him out of Tampa.
Getting him out of there, though.
I understand, but
do them for him. They just keep getting them good players, right? You let Stammer go, and you end up with Gensel. There's another one
there's another guy that was unbelievable too, Jake Gensel,
I've never watched him enough to see the bite that he plays with, and he plays with he's not a very big guy, but he plays like one. He's not afraid to mix it up. It was just outstanding hockey, and I think it's one of the best things that's happened to the sport in a lot of years. People are talking. Matthew Tkachuk was on.
He was on Jimmy Fallon, but they had 9 million in the U.S. watching that game. 9 million.
Yeah.
For a hockey game.
Good number.
That's a crazy number.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's going to open some doors. There's going to be, I think expansion was already going to happen. Now I think you're going to have more options. I heard New Orleans was talked about here recently, which would be hockey players like to go places that are fun on the road. So Montreal was always the number one stop, let's say, on the NHL, because Montreal, there's some establishments there back in the day that the guys like to go to, and obviously Vegas, Nashville.
The only thing about New Orleans as a market, the Hornets that are there right now, they're struggling, right?
Yeah, you got to win. I think if
so like if you're going to come into that market and be, not be Vegas and not be Seattle, you could end up being Atlanta pretty quick.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
No. If you're ownership, you're taking the 500 million or 800 million or whatever the buy-in is going to be, and going, if you make it, you make it, right? But
if you're looking at it, I'm not going into that brand new market like that without very deep pockets, right? Marketing dollars. You gotta, I watched it happen in Arizona to a smaller extent. You got to grow the game in the area, right? You have to. It's not about people coming to watch the hockey games. You're going to get some of those that just like to go watch sports. They're going to go. You got to get the grassroots. So if somebody in New Orleans is listening right now and you want an NHL team, really start and focus on the grassroots. Get as many kids as you can get playing the game, because those kids are going to want to go, and they're going to grow up in the culture of going to see hockey rather than football or basketball or baseball, right?
And listen, the NHL is still a gate-driven league.
Yeah, you need that. I think you might see that shift a little bit. I think, like I said, it was outstanding. Next year we've got another one. The year after that we've got is it next year and then 2 years later, right? 2 years later. Yeah. So 26 and 28 we got best on best. That should get enough eyeballs on hockey that they're going to get their $1 billion easy for an expansion franchise, and they can be a little bit choosy on where they want to go.
And then it's also about the TV deal,
right?
And so, listen, if the NHL can build on this, and listen, I'm not 100% sold that best on best hockey is going to equate to a significant uptick in NHL's regular season hockey. I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
But that being said, man, you got to capitalize right now, because the NBA is on the fastest downward trend out of any league I've ever seen. It's terrifying. If you watch the NBA, and like I'm just thinking about this honestly. I love basketball. I couldn't tell you the last time I was like, hey, it's a Thursday night, I got to put on the Raptors game. Couldn't tell you the last time I did that. Couldn't tell you. Haven't missed a Leaf game in forever.
Yeah.
But, and my feeling is, amongst people that I talk to, is that most people are the same way now. whether even if you're in Chicago, diehard Bulls fans are kind of going like, yeah, I mean, you touch a guy, he falls down. It's just, and I think what you're starting to see here too is with NHL guys, guys aren't taking breaks, guys are playing hurt. People are seeing that and they can identify with it. And I think especially when you compare it to, the guys that are making $50 million who can only play 35 games.
Well, it's a culture, right? That's
percent it is.
Culture is, and I saw an interesting interview, and they talked about the culture about. I think it was PK Subban was part of it. I want to talk about him a little bit here in a bit. He's been in the news a little bit, but
I love him.
Basically, saying that the leadership from a league point of view isn't there, right? When since Kobe left the league, LeBron hasn't been the player that some of the big superstars before him were, where you'll listen to a Larry Bird or a Magic Johnson or a Michael Jordan interview and say, hey, you played every game of the season 10 years in a row. How did you do that? You must have. And they said, because people were coming to watch me play. Like, that wasn't fair on that guy that saves his money all year to come and see Michael Jordan play in Chicago.
100%.
And I'm going to sit out because I got a little bit of.
That's why you love those guys,
right? And they haven't had that. Steph Curry, I think, would be the guy.
Steph Curry's probably about as close as you can come.
But it's they're getting big money now in college. So some of these guys are getting to the NBA and the NFL, and they're not hungry no more. They're just not hungry. They're getting their bank before they even play pro. Whereas before, I mean, they were getting it, but it was all under the table, and you couldn't drive a Ferrari around on Florida State campus if you were a football player, or there'd be an investigation.
Ask Larry Johnson about his days at UNLV. He'll tell you were getting it. You were
getting it. You couldn't flaunt it. Now they can flaunt it. Now they're getting to the league and they're getting shoe deals before they played a minute, and all those other guys had to earn it, right? Those guys were hungry. They wanted it a little bit more. So we'll see. I mean, I think it's a shame for basketball, but I think good for hockey because I think
I agree.
Same time sport. So let's move on here. Get back to talking about the Leafs. So coming out, you didn't really know what to expect. Carolina, real good hockey club, obviously.
What a start in that first period, eh?
Yeah, that was impressive, and they kind of. I didn't mind the little comeback at the end because it woke them up a little bit and said, okay, you know what, guys, you're not going to go through and beat teams. You got to play till the final buzzer goes, and they found it. 2 points is 2 points. Give up a lead, whoopie-doo. You could have basically.
Johnny, the difference is with this team, and I've said this a couple times this year, that is a game that the last couple of years we would have blown.
Yeah.
That is a game that we would have had a bounce. It would have gone the other way, and we wouldn't have been able to figure it out. We would have all been going like, I can't believe this is happening again. This year we've had there's been a couple of games where we've been up like 3 or 4 goals. We've let a team get back into the game, but then when we've had the chance to put them away, we have. And that's what I really I attribute a lot of it to Craig Berube. I like the way he shortens the bench when he needs to. And if what I really and I don't think this is lost on the guys on the team. Nick Robertson had 2 goals the other night in Chicago. At the end of the game, who's on the ice? Right? Trying to get the third. Right? He could have sat Nick on the bench. He threw him over the boards to try to get the guy. And I guarantee you've been on enough benches, John. The guys understand. Never mind what the fans think of Nick Robertson, and we all think he should be traded and this, that, and the next thing. He's on that tein. The boys are pulling for him. When he gets a couple, they want him to get that third, 100%. And so I think the coach stepping in and doing that, I really like that. I think it's really been a part of what's made this team this year just different.
Yeah, they're not walking on eggshells. I think the past couple coaches for sure weren't players coaches. Let's put it that way, right? You would have thought maybe Sheldon was, but he's not really. He was kind of standoffish, and I think I think Berube has been around the game long enough and has been around great players and great hockey people long enough that he understands how to communicate. He was an assistant coach for a long time in the National Hockey League, and those are
those are the guys that get it.
Communicator as an assistant coach at that level than you are as a head coach. But yeah, it's been great. It's been great. You still got a ways.
We got to finish though. Now we got to it's been a great run, but you got to finish now.
Well, you could lose 6 in a row and be in the wild card spot. That's how tight it is, and that leads me to my next. So just the tightness. So you're hearing a lot of trade. I was shocked that nothing got released right after because I heard there was a couple that were done. I haven't heard anything more, but I did notice that I mentioned last week or last time we talked about the Leafs and possible trades. I mentioned that it would be maybe the Schenn brothers coming to Toronto, Luke and Braden. Guess who reported it today? Friedman.
Our good friend Elliot.
Yeah, so he must have been watching us here a couple
Clearly.
weeks ago when we talked about it. But if you look at the standings, okay, so I'll start with the East. So the second wild card spot is Ottawa right now with 62. Columbus 62, Boston 61, Rangers 60. So those ones are definitely still thinking that they're going to make it.
Well, and listen, here, John. Here, if we're going to talk about Ottawa, you've got to talk about Linus Ullmark. Which Linus Ullmark are we getting? Are you getting the Linus Ullmark before the injury that he was 8-0 or 9-0 or something? Or are you getting the guy now that since he's come back is 0-3 with goals against of 3.5 and a save of 880? Like which Linus Ullmark are you going to get? That's going to be what's going to decide whether or not Ottawa makes it or not.
Right, but and totally agree. I mean, what I'm looking at though is then you've got so you got the Rangers at 60, which are 2 points out a game out of the last wild card spot. Then you've got Islanders with a couple games at hand at 57, Montreal with a game in hand at 57, and Philly at 58 with 57. So really,
everybody's still really in.
The only teams in the conference that are out, really, in my opinion, well, it's Buffalo for sure, but maybe Pittsburgh. I see Pittsburgh kind of not. I watched them on their first game back, and it was
they just looked dazed and confused, man.
Yeah. So if you're looking for trades, who are you going to trade with in the East right now? Pittsburgh, right? Well, the only 3 players that you might want from them, there's a couple other guys, are the ones that they're saying that they're not going to trade. And Buffalo's in every single guy on their roster has been rumored about. I'm keeping my eye on Dylan Cousins. That he's going to help a team. I've loved that player since he was a junior in Lethbridge. I think Lethbridge medicine.
There's been a lot of talk about Cousins, but like from my understanding from listening, we get the Buffalo station here all the time, 550, and they understand very acutely that Cousins is the guy that everybody seems to be going after. And trust me, they're going to ask for the kitchen sink.
100%. Right? Somebody's going to pay it.
I don't know, we watch a lot of Buffalo hockey here. And listen, I don't know that Dylan Cousins is showing up and dramatically making somebody better for what it's going to cost you to get him. Somebody will take a chance on him. Somebody will take a chance on him.
A contending team to your middle 9 on a Toronto or a Carolina, or
don't misunderstand the point, though. Don't misunderstand the point. I'm not saying he's not going to come in and help. I'm saying for what it's going to cost you to get that help, I don't know that that's worth it. But
I don't disagree. And then on the other side, in the West, there's only 3 teams out of it, and those are Nashville, Chicago, and San Jose. Okay, so the pool right now, we thought that the Four Nations was going to be somewhat of a trade deadline or an early trade deadline, just because
not so much.
Oh no, because you don't know who you're going to trade with. You hear from a Leaf perspective, they want a center.
Listen,
I think they want to get a big defenseman.
From a Leafs perspective, we may have found somebody internally.
Yeah, Steve's.
Yep. Listen, Did he not look fantastic the other
Yeah,
night?
he looked good. There's 3 or 4 of them like that. There's 3
You
or
know
4
what I mean?
like that can step in for sure.
And
That's
listen,
why I think going out are going to be Reeves. Camp is most likely done at the number he's at and what he brings to the table.
Yeah.
Yarncroke is coming back. You've got this Steves kid that has earned.
But you know what? We like if we're
nice.
going to be, but let's be honest about Calle Yarncroc. Okay, Calle Yarncroc has not been Calle Yarncroc in about a year and a half.
Yeah,
and we really don't know what you're getting.
Well, he might be gone too. They give him a little sample size, and he
100%. Yeah, 100%.
They got if you look at this, if you look at Toronto's opportunity this year, they've never had a better opportunity, in my opinion, in the last, just as far as what's going on in their conference.
So okay, that's fair. Okay,
you've got Boston, that's been a perennial.
Everybody's now McAvoy, a little bit of a dip. Yeah, I'm with you.
McAvoy's out. They're gonna they could be sellers.
I think Lindholm is out too, isn't he?
Lindholm's out for the season.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think Lindholm's out too. Yeah.
So you're lucky. That's their 2 best defensemen that they're down right now. I expect Toronto to go in there tonight and do maybe what they did to Carolina in the first. And just,
you know what? Never count out Boston.
Yeah, but you got to press their D. If you get pucks in deep on those guys and get a good forecheck going, all the lines were kind of doing that the other night. So, I'm excited to see that. So anyway, Boston, I don't think will be a factor in the playoffs if they get in. Florida, I mean, Matthew Tkachuk, there's rumors that he's out for the year.
I think he is out for the year.
There's all kinds of, stuff going on down there, but they are the defending champs. Tampa Bay, you want it to stay like this, right? So Florida plays Tampa because that'd be a war, probably 6 or 7 game series. And then if the playoffs started today, Toronto Maple Leafs would play the Detroit Red Wings in the first round.
Boy, you take that every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Yeah. Washington would get Ottawa, and then Carolina, Jersey, and Florida, Tampa Bay. So I see an opportunity here this year. The Marner stuff is gonna. I think they got to put a gun to Darren Ferris's head and Mitch Marner's camp's head and say, "Are you signing with us or are you not? We need to know what's the number you need, and can we get it done before March 5th or whatever the deadline is." And if they come back at this point, and say, we're going to see what happens and we're going to probably go to July 1st. I think with the players that are out there available, if you can, and here's the other thing, he's got no trade protection. So you could say to him, okay, well, we want to move you to Pittsburgh for Sidney Crosby. He's going to say, yeah, no, I'm good. Right? I'm good. I'll stick. So they hold all the cards.
Well, they do and they don't. They do and they don't. Because if it gets to that point, John,
yeah,
I guarantee you the Leafs are going public. Right? And if you think, listen, this city went next level on Mitch Marner after the end of last season's playoffs.
Yeah.
If you think that was next level, you wait to see what happens when he says, screw you to 14-3. I'm not signing. I'm going to free agency, and I'm not waiving a no trade clause. Boy, you like we might
ruin the year too. It'll ruin the playoffs because that's
100%, man. So I think what the for everybody that's watching, I think everybody needs to get over the fact that the number is going to be ridiculous, right? It's going to be a stupid number.
It's going to be more than Matthews.
It has to be, but here's the thing though, for people that don't understand or don't understand how Marner can make more than Matthews, the cap is going up 10% in the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Right. So the number that you're seeing for Marner today is not relatable directly to what Matthews signed at. Just like in 3 years or in 2 years, when Matthews' deal comes back up again, his number is going to be stupid as opposed to what Marner signed for, which is why Matthews signed a 4-year deal. He wasn't dumb either, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So, listen, I really like. I can't even believe that I'm saying this, but I almost believe that the Maple Leafs have. Listen, you've either got to decide you're in on Marner, and actually, let's be honest, the decision's already been made. You're in on Marner because if you're not in on Marner, he should have been traded a year ago or 2 years ago before his no trade kicked in on July 1st.
Yeah.
So you've made the decision that you're in on him. At this point, you've got to pay the guy. Because if you lose Mitch Marner in free agency for nothing, that's criminal.
Yeah, it's possible.
That is something that Ross Atkins would be doing for the Blue Jays. You know what I mean? Like that is criminal. So
yeah, I mean, and they're in on the one guy that keeps coming out. So you always hear Shen, you hear Scotty Lawton out of Philly, and the other guy that's really intriguing to me that keeps coming up, and he would be the guy for me. And I love Braden Shen, absolutely love him, love what he brings to the table, leader. He's got a history with Chief. Like I think it would be a very seamless transition to come in here, but. Yanni Gourde, man, when the way he played in that playoffs, I remember in the Tampa.
Is he that same player though? That's the only question.
Braden Shen, the same player that won a cup, no, but he plays a little bit. I think he's a little.
He's got the edge.
He's a little faster than Braden Shen. Just as physical. I don't think he's as big, but I like that player a lot. I don't think he's going to cost you what a Braden Shen's going to cost you either. Right, you might be able to bring a guy in like that, but I'm loading up. If I'm Treliving right now, just based on the data that I just shared and talking about, standings and some of these teams like New York Rangers should be, on paper coming into the season, they're a contender in the East. Carolina.
So here's some, you know what? I'm glad you brought them up because there's a lot of rumors going around right now, Johnny, that you might see a flip of Mikko Rantanen.
Oh yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
The hot rumor here is that
he's not going to sign there. They're going to move him. Yeah,
he's not going to sign. And so like if you're Carolina, and again think about the money that's already been absorbed on that contract.
Well, Chicago's got half of it.
That's what I'm saying though. So like you're getting Rantanen. Like if he gets moved again, are you allowed to retain again on another move? I don't even know.
It's up to the team that is retaining, because you can only have 3 retainments or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So in theory, like if Carolina decided to retain money, on that deal, you could. Do you know the haul that you could get for Mikko Rantanen?
You can get Mikko Rantanen as a rental for
like 2.5. Yeah. Like what are you talking? Like that's crazy. Like that's worth every penny that you're going to pay.
There's ways to circumvent that. I don't worry about when you get to the trade deadline. The season's almost over. I don't worry about the cap as much. You know what I mean?
No, but it's because it's incremental, right? It's on the amount of time left and what's on the salary and blah blah blah. I get it.
$3 million, even if it's half his deal, $4 million, $5 million, or whatever it is that Chicago doesn't have. You can move some stuff around.
But I'm just saying, like if you could get and all accounts are like he doesn't want to play in Carolina. So I mean, bold by Carolina to make the move.
Well, they can't after what happened with Gensel, right? With Gensel, they gave up a lot and didn't get him. So yeah, that'll be interesting to watch. But I think the Leafs are going to be in on everybody. Everybody, Joe, the Leafs. He's talking to everybody. If he can get a couple of maybe a top 4 defenseman and then maybe a 7-8 guy that a wily old veteran that's been through it that can step
like
be.
You know who we need? We need like a Zach Bogosian from about 4 years ago, though.
Guy like that. That's David Savard. Just guys like that aren't gonna chew a lot of minutes for you, but are gonna come in. I think they're gonna be very active. I think you're gonna see some guys go out. Some guys like I mentioned earlier. All their prospects are going to be in play if the right player is available. I think they have to go all in right now. Now, I'm not saying they're going to trade Cowan, Minton, and Radford or whatever his name is. No, but they're all going to be in play. It depends on what the team that they're talking to needs, and It's going to be interesting. So hey, we're almost to game time here. We've got 4 games before our next show, and it's quite interesting because if you had told me this at the beginning of the season, minus the last one, I would have said, "Oh, this is a tough little stretch." Boston, Rangers, Pittsburgh, San Jose.
Okay, listen. I want to say that we can take all 4. Like there's really no reason. Is the Rangers game, is it in Madison Square?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to take 6 out of 8. Okay. I don't know, man. I just feel like Madison Square Garden, the Rangers, the Leafs. I feel like that's just a recipe that we could have a little bit of a sleeper. San Jose, I feel like we're good on. Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is just Pittsburgh is a mess right now.
Yeah.
And listen, what I love more than anything is watching Stolarz and Wall play.
Yeah.
Like it, you know what? It is really effectively, they're going to give you 2 goals a game, and that's about it. Right? If the Leafs score 3 goals a game on average, we're going to win. Yeah. And I'm thinking, like, when was the last time that happened?
Yeah.
Where you were comfortable going, you know what? Our goalies are so on point. If we get 3 goals, we're good. Like that's, I feel like that now, though. Like I legitimately, with either guy going, I feel great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One other thing, just before I say 8 points. I'm going to say 8. When Austin Matthews got that empty netter the other night, and I've watched this kid since he came into the league and before then.
I know where you're going.
He had a look in his eyes. He had a look in his eyes that I haven't seen very much from him. And I truly believe, as much as the win for a Marner can really, oh my God,
motivate. Yeah.
I believe that 34 is going to be unstoppable here over the next little while. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's got something to prove. Here's something that I want to ask you, and then we're going to thank our sponsors and go. But all those 4 Nations guys were given the option to play or not play. That was part of the deal going back to their program. And obviously, the Tkachuk are hurt. They didn't opt not to play. But that was an option. That was an option that if a player basically said, hey, you know what, I'm fatigued, I don't want to go on Saturday or whatever. I think
or I can't go. Yeah.
But I truly believe and this isn't a slight on Austin at all, but Austin wanted to be back and in and be the leader, and he didn't want to kind of sit back and be upset about the Americans losing. He wanted to jump right back in, and I really believe that he's going to be absolutely outstanding here for the next little while, and they're going to go on a big run. I really do. I think he's motivated. He doesn't like to lose, especially when you see your buddy win, and you had a chance to win it a little while before that, and ego comes into play, and everybody's talking about McDavid, the best player in the world, McDavid, and McKinnon's the MVP, and these things motivate a guy like Austin, and I think Maple Leafs fans are going to benefit from that mindset, because I think he's hungry. I really do.
Listen, John, I agree with you. We all know Austin's hurting. Okay, we all know that at that World Cup or 4 Nations, call whatever you want, you weren't getting 100% Austin Matthews, and guess what? He was still pretty freaking fantastic.
Yeah.
And so the one thing that I think maybe gets lost in this market, but is absolutely not lost anywhere else, is his peers understand who he is and what he brings. If I paid particular attention to a lot of the Americans when they talked about him, and the reverence that was shown to him in the way that he gets spoken about. not because he's the goal scorer, but it's the things that they said that he does away from the puck. You know, the strength on the corners, the way he gets back into the play, the way he's a 200-foot player. And I really think that, you know, we maybe in this market expect so much of him, right? And rightfully so. Don't get me wrong. He is that guy, and he is, you know, has that expectation to go along with it. But for all us Leaf fans, I think we need to go. We know who Auston Matthews is when Auston Matthews is healthy, and right now, let's get Auston Matthews to the point where he is healthy going into the playoffs. Because I'm telling you, I think you're right, Johnny. It was funny as soon as you said that, with, you know, when he got that empty netter, he had a serious look on his face, like, boys, let's finish this now and let's go. I saw it too. I love it. I think it's great. If Matthews is healthy going into the playoffs, Marner's got that little bit of swag, confidence on it. You know, Willie's having a career year. John Tavares is bouncing back and looking like he's John Tavares from about 12 years ago. You know, young Steves is coming up, looks good. Bobby McMatthews is fantastic. You know, we got a lot of great things going. And so, you know what, as we get going here, we're getting into the Bruins tonight. I don't care if Boston is, you know, 8th place or dead last in the league. Boston and us play aggressive and tough every game. It's going to be a great one tonight.
1-0.
Already?
Yeah, Boston.
Ah, well. What
29 seconds in. Yeah.
Like I just said to you.
Comment from one of my little 2016s from New Brunswick here. Real
Shout
nice
out to Keaton.
Hockey player. Keaton Dumas. Real good.
Shout out to Keaton.
Fast little guy. So his mom said hi. So hi, Keaton.
Right on. Well, listen, thanks everybody for watching tonight. Shout out to our sponsors, Don Cherry Sports Grill, Bjorn Hockey, and we'll see everybody next week. Go Leafs, go.
Good night.